Nobody likes to talk about race. Well, nobody likes getting attacked either, so guess what? We're talking about it. Attacks on Asians are on the rise. Innocent people are being hurt. Children, women, and the elderly are especially at risk because they are perceived as weaker, because it clearly takes a big person to commit these crimes. Lately in the news, I've heard about a woman who had acid poured over her face in New York City while taking out the trash, and about how a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old were stabbed at a Sam's Club in Texas, and a young lady was beaten up at a subway station in New York for wearing a mask. Innocent people are being spat on, harassed, yelled at, burned, ganged up on, and it's happening everywhere. In terms of hate crimes, lately 75% has been name calling and shouting, but 15% are actual physical assaults. Even the FBI predicted an uptick on Asian hate crimes. And all of these I will list at the bottom in my sources. Watching these videos were incredibly disturbing because this is an issue that affects me deeply. But I have to talk about it because otherwise people have no idea that it's happening. From a personal perspective, it's especially difficult because I've worked my entire life to become an optometrist so I can help people, and it's always been my dream. And the biggest letdown that I experience in clinic is racism. A recent example is when I was at a prestigious high-end LASIK institute and I had a patient ask me while I was checking her eyes if I have any family members who have coronavirus. Now think about that, and in what world is that an appropriate question to ask your doctor? Granted, racism at work is rare, but it's on the rise if these hate crime trends and even my own personal experiences are to be believed. A few weeks ago, I was walking around in Utah and some teenage boys across the street were yelling angrily at me. I didn't know what they were saying and I didn't want to find out. But if you think that this is only happening in certain areas or you're safe, it's Canada, well, talk to an Asian friend and maybe you'll find that it's a lot more common than you expected. It starts as a microaggression, but if we allow these microaggressions to be the new norm, then it will surely turn into a slippery slope of violence. I shouldn't have to dread going to work because of this widespread ignorance and hatred. I work too hard to be living in this much fear. Even though I live a privileged life, I'm in Canada, I'm reasonably healthy. If I were to be elderly or disabled, then my chances of being a victim in a hate crime increases exponentially. How is it fair that these disadvantaged people have to worry about being attacked on top of their other problems in the middle of a pandemic? We are people too. We just look different. I don't know who needed to hear that, but based on the widespread ignorance, it needs to be said. And this racism is everywhere. It's obviously wrong, and I know it's only a small minority of people committing these crimes, but it is growing. And if we shouldn't live in fear because of this ignorance. Growing up, far too often we are told that we can't make a difference, whether it's climate change or corrupt governments, famine, or whatnot. Well, I'm not sitting back and watching my innocent brothers and sisters get attacked this time. This is an emergency and we have to put an end to this. So what do we do? If you're still watching, chances are you have some empathy and understand that we are human too. You can strike up a conversation with your racist friends and family members. Somehow convey to them that these attacks are not okay. I don't care what people believe at home as long as they don't act on these hateful beliefs and harm others, whether it's through speech or violence. And I know it's an uncomfortable conversation, but you could save a life. Bring these hate crimes to the open. It's disturbing and unpleasant, but what do you think the victims are going through? Wouldn't their suffering be for nothing if nobody was even aware? If we don't talk about it, people won't know about it and nothing will be done. We have to bring awareness so that people are on the lookout, more self-conscious of how unacceptable it is to conform to widespread racist beliefs. So if you see or know of a hate crime, report it. We need to bring these events to light. Please put an end to hate crimes. It is easily preventable, and help us stop living in fear. I need your help. I don't even need your money. Just start a conversation. For this world event, Asians are the victims in hate crimes. Since 2001, it was anybody who had brown skin. During the bubonic plague, Jewish people were scapegoated and murdered. So, who's next? We have to put an end to this now. I know it's a difficult time, and the last thing anybody wants to hear or talk about is more bad news. I understand. Nobody wants to be a downer. Well, we're not talking about this to be negative, but if you have the time, energy, and compassion to discuss these events, then please do. I've always been told that I'm an idealist. Well, I know I'm not being an idealist when I just want to stop seeing my people be attacked. And people are fighting back. Very recently, there have been hashtags circulating, "Watch the hate, racism is a virus," and "I am not COVID-19," because we are not sitting back this time watching it happen. So please be a part of this movement. Strike up a conversation. You could save a life. Thank you for your time.